If you've ever felt like you could never be on the same level as some of the real estate investors that you see online or you read about, and you couldn't possibly have the level of success that they have, I'm going to share with you 3 things that I learned from the most grueling day of my life that I think are really going to change your perspective. I'm Kirby Atwell, and 4 years ago, I got to a place where my short-term rental investments created enough income for my wife and I to leave our corporate jobs and live off our rental properties. And for years, I've helped a lot of other people create significant income with their very specific type of short-term rental. Like this really budget-friendly 2-unit that a member of my program recently purchased that will bring in over $2,400 of net cash flow after all expenses being used as a short-term rental on a monthly basis. So if you want to learn more about that and about working with me in this program, you can set up a call with me at the link that just popped up, and we can talk about your goals and how this program works and see if it's a good fit for you. So first, I'm going to share the details of that experience with you, and then I'll share the 3 takeaways that I think are really going to help you as a real estate investor. Back in 2004, I was a cadet at the United States Military Academy at West Point, and at the time I was a junior, or a cow as juniors are affectionately known at West Point. And when you're a cadet at West Point, you get the opportunity to go to a specialty Army training school during the summertime. And so you could go to airborne school, which is where you learn to jump out of planes. There's air assault school where you learn how to rappel out of helicopters. There's ranger school. And then there's a school called the Special Forces Combat Diver Qualification Course, or CDQC. And so I, very naively at the time, decided that that was the course that I wanted to attend. It's known throughout the Army as one of the most difficult courses to get through. The attrition rate is super high. It's a very grueling course. It's several weeks at the Special Forces Dive School in Key West, Florida. And I decided that I was going to try out for this course. And the way it works at West Point is you can try out for the school, and there's just a handful of cadets every year that get the opportunity then in the summertime to go to the school for several weeks and try to earn what's called a scuba bubble, which you get to wear on your uniform, and there's very few people throughout the Army that actually have earned the scuba bubble. It's a big honor. So I decided like 2 weeks before the tryout that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't decide it several years in advance, which in retrospect would have been a much, much smarter decision, but I decided a couple weeks in advance. And I knew I made a pretty big mistake the morning I showed up to the tryout, because I started to look around and I realized that the vast majority of the people at this tryout were NCAA swimmers. It was like the entire West Point swim team was there. These are all guys that grew up as top swimmers in their high school. Now they're swimming at a collegiate NCAA level. And here I was, this guy who had taken a few swim lessons when I was a kid at the Park District. And I played football for most of my high school and younger years, and hadn't trained for this experience that I was about to go through at all. I really didn't understand the depth of what this tryout was going to entail. I just decided this is something I wanted to do. So the day starts at 6:30 in the morning with a PT test, an Army PT test. And at the time that was 2 miles, a 2-mile run, as fast as you can go. Then you do as many push-ups and as many sit-ups as you can do. And then the day really starts. So as soon as you're done with those sit-ups, there's Zodiac boats waiting for you, these really heavy rubber rafts, and you get in teams and you start the day. And so this whole experience, this whole day lasted 13 and a half hours, this tryout for this school. And the first half was on land. So like I said, as soon as you're done with the PT test, you pick up the rafts, you start doing runs with the rafts, lifting the rafts over your head, bring it back down to your shoulder, doing, push-ups on the edge of the raft, like just consistent, just getting the crap kicked out of you on land. Then halfway through the day, we go into the pool. And as I said, I'm not a super proficient or competitive swimmer. I can swim, but I'm not one of the top swimmers out there. So we get in the pool, you're already drained because you've just done hours and hours of physical activity, and you get in the pool and then the real fun starts. So you get in groups, you have a brick that you pass around in a group while you're treading water. So every time it gets to you, you sink, pass it to the next guy, and you got to work as a team. Then you have to do 50 meters underwater. That's the whole length of a pool and back. Underwater, you have to do crossovers where they put the mask on you upside down. They have instructors who are running this, which are other special forces guys or cadets who have already earned their bubble, who are in the middle of the pool, and they grab onto you as you're crossing over underwater with a mask upside down so you can't see because it's full of water, and they're pulling you back and making it very difficult for you. So throughout the day, a lot of guys dropped out of this tryout. Obviously, it's a very difficult thing to go through through for 13 and a half hours. And I know there's other schools and other things that have been more grueling for people, but this was my experience. So the three big takeaways that I had from this day that have really helped me to this day be a much better investor, much better entrepreneur, really better in all areas are: number one, when it came to the afternoon that day, so we had been on land getting smoked all morning long, got in the water for hours in the water. We were getting smoked, getting yelled at, getting sprayed in the face with hoses while we're choking and gasping for air. And I'm looking around late in the afternoon, early evening thinking, I don't think I can finish this day, And so I'm just focused on the next rep, because I don't know if you ever got to this point where every time you kick, you're getting a Charlie horse. So in the back of your leg, when you bend your leg, it would turn into a tight ball, a Charlie horse in your muscle. And the only way to get rid of it is to straighten your leg. So every time you kick, you're getting a new Charlie horse. So I'm just focused on the next thing that I have to do to try to get through that one thing. And I realized, I looked up at one point and I looked around at these guys who at the start of the day, I thought, these guys are going to kill me. Like, there's no way I can keep up with these guys. These guys are competitive swimmers. They're in the pool literally every single day swimming competitively. Way more qualified to do this than I am. But I realized by the end of the day, at this point, after we'd gone through all that, we were all in the same position. There's nobody that was like, oh, I'm good at this now. I'm feeling great. Like, we were all feeling the exact same thing. Physically, we were all totally smoked, nothing left, and it was all just a matter of will at that point. And I realized at that point that if you're willing to do what most people won't, you can get to the same level as the experts much faster than you think. So this is true whether you're trying out for the Special Forces Dive School or you're just trying to be the best entrepreneur that you can possibly be. There's always going to be people around you that seem like they are so much more qualified to be doing what it is you're trying to do. But it's the people that are willing to just focus on the next rep over and over again that get to that level of these seemingly much more qualified people much faster than you actually think. And this really ties into the second lesson that I took away from that day. And I'm so grateful for having gone through this experience. In retrospect, now that it's over, I can say that, because most people don't get a chance to really test their limits. And it proved to me that I can actually go a lot further than I ever thought that I could. And the thing that I realized is that consistency actually trumps most other skills when it comes to long-term success. So there's not much in my life that I've dominated because of my skills. I shouldn't have got into West Point because of my grades. I wasn't the best football player. I got cut when I got to West Point. I wasn't a standout officer in the Army. There's not much that I've done where I've been the absolute best. There's a lot that I've done that I've been pretty good at. And my superpower, as I look back, has been consistency. Even when it comes to real estate investing, I flailed for years as a real estate investor. But I made the decision that real estate investing is going to be something I do the rest of my life. So what's a few years of learning? So I would just show up again. I'd learn from those things that didn't work the day before, and I'd show up the next day and just keep doing that over and over. And now we live a very blessed life. We have great income. We have great assets. We live a kind of lifestyle by design, a lot of flexibility in our life because of consistency, just because of just showing up and doing it over and over again. You don't have to be the best of all the people around you, but you have to keep showing up. And that's what I took away from completing that day in the pool. So I completed that tryout, which a lot of people fell out during the day, or they got pulled out of the pool because they, were seeing stars and weren't conscious anymore. But I made it through, and I didn't get selected for the course, unfortunately. What we were told was in 2004, because the wars were ramping up so much, a lot of the Special Forces guys that ran the school were actually deployed, so there weren't as many slots. I don't know if I would have got a slot anyway, but I did complete the day, and that was purely due to consistency. And the final lesson that I learned from that day, as well as several other experiences that I've had since then, is that if you want inordinate success, like beyond what's typical, then you have to pick a non-linear path to get there. And you have to be willing to put in work that you actually aren't sure are going to lead to results. So what do I mean by a non-linear path? Most people pick a path that's already been tried and true. So if you go to college and you choose to be a teacher, or you choose to be an engineer or an attorney, there's going to be a specific path that you have to follow to get to that profession. There's no way to circumvent that path. Like, you want to be an attorney, you go to college, then you go to 3 years of law school. You're not going to come out of law school then and a year later be a partner in a top performing, law firm and doing big cases. You're going to have to grind it out, put in the hours, follow that proven path to eventually get to that position. And that's how most jobs, most paths work in life. And most people are drawn to that because it feels safe, right? They know if I put in X amount of work and I follow what everyone else has already done in front of me, I can get to that. It's controlled by other people, that path. It's controlled by outside forces. If you pick a non-linear path, there's not a proven step-by-step to get there necessarily. Now, others have done it before. They've done it in different ways. There's a result that you want that's better than most, that's outsized success, but the path isn't necessarily clear how to get there. You can get to that result much quicker than most linear paths if you're willing to be consistent, if you're willing to do what others aren't, if you're willing to actually get a little bit uncomfortable. In a lot of cases, this type of path also leads to residual results over time as well. So you do the work to get there, and then the payoff is continuous into the future. So if you want outsized results and you want them quicker than most, then in most cases, you need to look at what you're doing and say, is this the linear path? Is this the one that has been tried and true, and I know exactly where I'm going to be 10 years from now because I have to stay on this path? Or is this something that I could step outside my comfort zone, step outside of the step-by-step that everyone else is doing, and potentially circumvent the process to get to the results much quicker? So hopefully my experiences here can help also shift your perspective, because I think a big part of it is just knowing that it's possible. So like I said, I work with a lot of people to help them get to a place of financial freedom through this niche within a niche, this very specific type of short-term rental that's relatively low cost, but super high cash flowing. So if you're interested in that program, you can book a call with me at the link that just popped up. There's a couple of questions that you need to answer, and then you'll get access directly to my calendar. We can talk through your goals and the details of the program and see if it's a good fit for what you're looking to do. Thanks again for joining me for this video. It means the world to me. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.